What's going on, everyone, and welcome back to another video. In the blink of an eye, it's already the second week of October, meaning that there's been 2 full months since we first learned the details of Air Canada's new Aeroplan program. And that leaves us with only 1 month to go until November 8th, which is when the new program actually launches. Now, we've already made several different videos about the new Aeroplan. We've had the first video, which gives you all the information you need to know. We've had the second video, which is a live study session that I hosted, in which we also do a bit of a live chat with some of the guys who created the new Aeroplan. And then we have a third video in which I share with you some of my impressions about how the new program is going to work for Canadians and how it's going to reshape the loyalty landscape here in Canada. Now, in today's video, I wanted to focus specifically on taking action between today and November 8th. What are the exact steps that we should be taking to maximize both the current Aeroplan program before it goes away and the new Aeroplan program when it launches next month? Without further ado, let's get started with the video. Now, to get us started here, I wanted to quickly go over some of the logistical questions that people always have about the new Aeroplan and the transition over to the new program. Don't worry, you're not going to lose any of your Aeroplan miles. Any miles that you have in your account today are simply going to be honored one-to-one in the new program. So if you have 30,000 Aeroplan miles today, that's simply going to become 30,000 Aeroplan points as of November 8th. On that date, the Aeroplan website and mobile app will be rolled into the Air Canada website and mobile app, and everything's going to be integrated under one roof. And you'll still be able to log in with your current Aeroplan number and password, so there's not going to be any changes there. And now that we've gotten the logistical stuff out of the way, let's talk about the action plan, and we're going to split this video into 3 sections. Number 1, the flight rewards. How do we optimally maximize both the current Aeroplan program and the new Aeroplan program for any travel goals that we might have throughout the rest of 2020 and next year in 2021. Number 2, credit cards. What do we have to know about the new Aeroplan credit cards that are coming as of November 8th? Which products are looking like the most appealing, and how do we best position ourselves to take advantage of these new products and new bonuses that are about to drop next month? And finally, number 3, everything else, all the odds and ends and loose ends that come with both the old and the new programs that we should also be aware of and take action towards right now before the new program launches. So let's start with the flight rewards, the old versus the new. And this basically boils down to, the question of where do you want to go? What types of trips do you want to go on for the rest of 2020 as well as for most of 2021? And is it more favorable to book those trips right now under the current rules or after November 8th when the new rules kick in? Something very important to understand about this transition to the new program is that whatever trips you book under the current rules before November 8th, if you want to make changes to that trip after November 8th, then your whole trip is going to be repriced under the new rules instead of following the current rules of the legacy program. So whatever trips you book before November 8th, you should think about them as final. You're not going to be able to make any further changes to them, because if you do make changes and they are more expensive under the new rules, then you do have to pay those incremental points if you want to make a change. Now, there is one exception to this, which is in the case of an involuntary schedule change. So if the airline cancels your flight or makes significant changes to your flights, then you do have the option of saying, okay, my flight's been changed, I would like to change it to something else within reason, and still follow the old rules and still be subject to the old rules and the old pricing. And in that case, you wouldn't be charged the difference compared to the new rules because you're not making a voluntary change, but rather it's the result of something that was out of your control. So that's something important to keep in mind about any bookings that you make before November 8th for travel after that date. Now, speaking of which, what's the furthest out that you can book travel for in the year of 2021? Well, Aeroplan usually lets you make bookings up to 355 days out. So if you were to make a booking on November 7th, which is the last day of the current program, then the furthest out that you could book is for travel by October 28th, 2021. So you're going to want to think about any trips you can envision yourself taking before that date, before October 28th, 2021, and whether it's more favorable to book before or after November 8th. And I think in general, there's two different categories of thinking that you should be doing as it relates to the flight rewards. The first category is any upcoming trips that you would have planned anyway. So any places that you've always wanted to go that you think you would have planned for 2021, you're going to want to compare the pricing under the current Aeroplan rules versus the pricing under the new rules and see which one is cheaper and act accordingly. Now, in most cases, if you're planning an international trips, because the prices for the vast majority of international trips will be increasing as of November 8th, it's very likely that you want to secure something, you want to lock in a booking at the relatively cheaper rates before November 8th. There are, of course, a few exceptions for trips that will actually be cheaper after November 8th, such as Vancouver-Tokyo on Air Canada or ANA business class, Vancouver-Brisbane, Vancouver-Auckland, Toronto or Montreal to Casablanca, things like that. But for the most part, for most international trips to places like Europe, South Africa, the Middle East, India, and Southeast Asia as well, it's likely going to be more expensive after November 8th, so you're going to want to think about making a booking before then. If you need help figuring out whether the trip you have in mind is going to be more or less expensive after the transition and whether it's better to book before or after, then feel free to leave a comment in the comments below and I'll do my best to help you analyze what course of action makes the most sense for you. So I think that's the first category of trips that you should be thinking about booking before November 8th. Trips that you would have gone on anyway in 2020 or most likely later in 2021. Now, the second category of trips that we'll be thinking about booking relates more to the sweet spots in the current Aeroplan program that will be going away in the new program, that will no longer be as good of a deal ever again in the future. Now, one of the best examples in this category, in my view, is domestic trips within Canada, where you can add a stopover on a round-trip flight for no additional cost. Now remember, under the current Aeroplan program, you can add that stopover for free on the round-trip flight, and you'll basically get to visit two places domestically within Canada for the price of one. But under the new program, you'll no longer be able to have a stopover within Canada or the US. So that's no longer going to be a possibility. And because it's pretty likely that most Canadians will feel comfortable traveling domestically before we feel comfortable traveling internationally, I really think this is a really valuable sweet spot, and it's a shame that it's going to be going away when the new Aeroplan program launches. And I would encourage folks to try to book as many of these round trips with a stopover included as possible for travel for the rest of 2020 and throughout the rest of next year as well. For example, if you wanted to spend the winter holidays skiing in both Whistler and Banff National Park, then you could do so by booking an Aeroplan round-trip flight to Vancouver with a stopover in Calgary for only 25,000 miles in economy class or 50,000 miles in business class, and that would be the complimentary stopover on a North American round trip. And there's so many other possibilities as well for domestic travel throughout the rest of the upcoming year. So you could do stuff like traveling up to the territories with another stop somewhere in another province. You could do stuff like the Aeroplan short haul sweet spot where you start from Montreal and you go to Halifax and St. John's all in one trip. And that's all counting as a short haul Aeroplan redemption. So it's going to cost 15,000 Aeroplan miles round trip in economy or 30,000 miles round trip in business. Of course, assuming that the Atlantic provinces open up to travel at some point later on, perhaps next year. Another example of a redemption you might consider making right now is the Aeroplan Mini Round the World. The fact that you can book a round trip anywhere around the world and add that stopover somewhere along the way for free. So you could do Toronto to Australia and add a stopover in Tokyo, for example. Now, after November 8th, when the new program launches, you're actually going to be able to add a stopover for 5,000 points on any one-way bound. So you're actually going to be able to do two stopovers on a round trip. However, the total cost, the total mileage cost for the Aeroplan Mini Round the World redemption will be rising pretty significantly from about 150,000 miles to about 180,000 points. So there's definitely a bit of a trade-off going on there, but if you don't have the excess miles to burn, then you'll definitely want to think about using the 150,000 to 160,000 miles right now under the current Aeroplan rules to book yourself a very memorable round-the-world trip, perhaps in business class, while you're still able to. Finally, there's quite a few very niche redemptions that some people like to book under the current Aeroplan that are no longer going to be possible when the new program launches, such as a 16-segment one-way flight, with long layovers throughout the journey, so 15 different cities over 15 different days. If you're the type of traveler who wants to do that, then definitely make your booking while you still can. And for a full discussion of all these niche bookings and all these opportunities that we talked about, you can refer to my post on what to book before November 8th that I wrote over on princeoftravel.com. So those are kind of the things to know and the steps to take in terms of the flight rewards. Think about whether you want to use your miles more towards the current sweet spots or the new Aeroplan sweet spots. There's going to be favorable redemptions and unfavorable redemptions on both sides. And me personally, I'm planning to reserve about half of my Aeroplan balance to book rather speculative trips under the current Aeroplan program for future travel. And then I'm also planning to use my remaining half of Aeroplan miles to book future sweet spots as soon as the new program launches on November 8th. All right, so now let's talk about the new Aeroplan credit cards, which will be either undergoing a relaunch or, in the case of the brand new American Express Aeroplan Business Reserve Card, launching as a brand new product as of November 8th, 2020. By now, I'm sure we've all had the chance to catch up on what the new Aeroplan cards will offer, but in case you need a reminder, you can pop back over to our intro video where we cover what's going to happen to the current Aeroplan cards, how they're going to transition over to the new cards, and what are some of the key perks and benefits that these new products will offer. Now, I've been getting a lot of questions from people recently who may be interested in the new Aeroplan program, maybe they're interested in some of the new sweet spots, and the question is, should I apply for the Aeroplan credit cards now, or should I wait for November 8th when the new cards actually launch, potentially with better bonus offers? And yes, in fact, I have been told that we should expect very much amazing bonus offers on these new cards when they do launch. And I don't know what those amazing bonus offers are going to be, besides the fact that they're supposed to be amazing. So I would say, and I think the general consensus among the community is very much that we're waiting for November 8th to see what these offers are and whether they're interesting enough for us to apply en masse. I think if I were to provide some of my educated guesses as to what these new bonuses might look like, well, I think the entry-level cards are still going to be relatively low. I think the core cards or the gray Aeroplan cards, we might see some first-year free offers on those, but I think the sign-up bonus will still be, in the reasonable mid-five figures range at most. But I really think it's the premium cards, the $599 annual fee cards, or the black Aeroplan cards as they're known, where it's most likely that we'll see some spectacular bonuses. And in fact, I have a feeling that we might even see a lot of creativity from these bonus offers. We might even see, bonuses being structured in ways that we haven't seen before in Canada, or perhaps multiple different types of bonuses offered on the same product, depending on which type of Aeroplan member is signing up. So let's keep our minds open, let's keep our expectations high, and we'll see as of November 8th exactly what those exciting, amazing offers are going to be. So in terms of the action plan, I think for most people it's going to make sense to wait until November 8th and see what the new offers are going to be before jumping in and making your decision. But I think there's one exception to this, which is in case you do see significant value in having the new Aeroplan credit cards, especially the premium cards with the new Aeroplan and Air Canada perks and benefits, then it might make sense to actually apply before November 8th, because that way you get to test out the new cards and the new cards benefits for the first year while paying the lower annual fee of $399 instead of $599, which is going to be the new annual fee when the card rebrands itself. Of course, this means that you might miss out on the potentially higher welcome bonuses on these cards as of November 8th. So it's going to be up to you whether that $200 savings in annual fee is worth it compared to missing out on that higher bonus. The next thing to mention for the action plan is to make sure you sign up for the waitlist for the new American Express Aeroplan credit cards, because American Express has put together a very exciting waitlist bonus of 5,000 to 10,000 Aeroplan points for anybody who signs up for the waitlist before the cards are launched, and then upon the cards launch, applies for the card through that dedicated waitlist link. As long as you sign up for the waitlist, then as soon as the new American Express Aeroplan cards launch, you're going to be eligible for an extra 5,000 Aeroplan points as a waitlist bonus in the case of the core American Express Aeroplan card, or an extra 10,000 Aeroplan points as a waitlist bonus in the case of the American Express Aeroplan Reserve card, the Premium card, or the American Express Aeroplan Business Reserve card. And these are both going to be on top of whatever the actual welcome bonuses for these cards will be as of November 8th. So that's very much, what we call a low-hanging fruit. So make sure you grab that and make sure you sign up for the waitlist so you can claim those extra points when the time comes. And finally, of course, you're going to want to think carefully about which of these new Aeroplan credit cards are actually best suited to you and your travel patterns and preferences. Yes, it's going to be very exciting with 11 new Aeroplan credit cards launching. Many of us will be very eager to try out as many of these products as possible, try out all of their bonuses and benefits. But in the long run, everybody has, one segment of the Aeroplan credit cards that's best suited to them. Whether it's the entry-level cards, the low annual fee and no annual fee cards, or it's the core cards for travelers who might only fly with Air Canada a couple times per year, or it's the premium credit cards for frequent travelers who might really value that Maple Leaf Lounge access benefit. So definitely give that some thought, and that'll also help you prioritize, on November 8th, when these 11 new Aeroplan credit cards launch, which of them will be most interesting to you that you want to apply for first. Finally, guys, let's talk about everything else about the new Aeroplan and what you should be doing to prepare. Now, on the elite status side, there's mostly not that much to do because everything's going to be transitioned automatically from the old altitude status over to the new Aeroplan elite status. But there's one currency that's going to be different under the new program, which is Air Canada's priority rewards. Right now, elite 35K members and above get a set of priority rewards that they can use on Air Canada flights to access a greater range of award availability. Whereas under the new program, the priority rewards are going to be based on your qualifying spend with Air Canada, and they're going to be used to get a 50% discount on any Aeroplan redemption. Now, these are two very different types of currencies, and it's my understanding that the current priority rewards are going to be coming to an end as of the new program's launch. Now, this really only applies to Aeroplan Super Elite members, but you're going to want to think a little bit about how you can use up these priority rewards before the new program launches, because if you're a Super Elite, your priority rewards are actually super valuable because they let you book Air Canada business class flights with no fuel surcharges while accessing a much larger range of availability. So you might definitely want to think about using that power basically to book some travel throughout 2020 and 2021. Even if it's speculative and even if you might end up canceling it in the future anyway. For the rest of us, I think there's not going to be that much to do in terms of the loose ends. I think it's mostly going to be a matter of continuing to research the new program, understand the new program, planning for the future, planning for how we're going to maximize some of these new features such as family sharing. In that respect, it's a matter of thinking about who you would like to pool your points together, who's going to be the head of the household, which family members are you going to trust with the ability to redeem points out of the family pool, and which family members are you going to say, you're part of the family pool, but you're not allowed to redeem any points because you're not trusted with that ability. And also, we know that the new Aeroplan program will be launching with brand new technology in place, and anytime there's brand new technology, it may not always function perfectly smoothly in the first few days, in the first period. So if you've been planning any big purchases lately, then perhaps consider making them through the Aeroplan e-store before rather than after November 8th, when the technology right now is very reliable. Anyway, that's what I wanted to share with you in terms of the strategy and the action plan between now and November 8th, when the new Aeroplan launches. There's really not that much longer to go until one of the most anticipated new loyalty programs we've seen in Canada and indeed globally finally comes to life. Don't forget, we've created so much content here at Prince of Travel to help you understand the new Aeroplan and help you familiarize yourself with the program and maximize it going forward. And you can find all of that and more in the link up here in the corner. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe to the Prince of Travel YouTube channel. Just click the subscribe button below the video. And let me know in the comments, what steps are you taking to prepare for the new Aeroplan program's launch in 1 month's time? What trips are you booking? Which credit card bonuses are you getting or are you waiting for? And until then, I'll see you in the next video.